Welcome to our Hawaii America community live stream. We are live. I'm Mrs. Quirk, and this is Mr. Quirk, and most importantly of all, special guest for tonight, Mr. Rudy Mick. Mr. Mick, it's so good to have you on our live stream tonight.
It's great to be with you.
Awesome. We're going to have a great conversation tonight. So for anybody who is joining us on our private Facebook group page, so that we can actually see your comments and your questions from Mr. Mick, which we're going to get to in just a little bit, make sure that you go, if you look above us, the directions are there. You can go and do a verification through StreamYard, which is the platform that we use to stream. And that way, when your comments and questions come up, we'll actually be able to see your name and speak to you by name and not just random Facebook user. So make sure you do that if you're going to comment and give questions tonight to Mr. Mick on our private Facebook group page. Those of you who are on YouTube, I think you're already verified, so we will be able to see your name whenever you leave comments and questions for Mr. Mick later. But most importantly, if you're on our YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Our tiny but mighty channel has grown to 120 subscribers in just a couple months, so it's really exciting. We'd love to see if we can get to 130 by the end of April. That's a little goal that we've set for ourselves, so help us get there.
How about 130 by the end of tonight?
Woo!
Yeah, right.
Look at you. Mr. Mick is on fire tonight. He is be-do have. So underneath, you'll see the subscribe button. Make sure that it says subscribed. And if it hasn't, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like our video, leave comments for Mr. Mick. Let's get right to it tonight, guys. So my staff makes sure that I do announcements first. We have some awesome announcements here for our KA community members. First of all, you got it. Summer camp spots are filling up fast. I already know that there are some groups that are already filled at Brookfield, so make sure for our Brookfield location, if you want to get your kiddos signed up at our Brookfield location, talk to Ms. Hanson, talk to Mr. Knightsky, Mr. Hanson, the team there. Go to inspire-camp.com, give us a call. Stop up at the front desk, leave us a comment below, and one of our team will help you get your kiddo signed up for summer camp. You can also register directly through the Karate America app. Same for Pewaukee. Our Pewaukee team is really excited for this summer. So anybody in our Lake Country area, so Waukesha, Delafield, Oconomowoc, Pewaukee, any of those areas, if you're looking for the absolute best place for your child to spend the summer, go no further than Camp Inspire, and make sure you follow up with Mr. Kozlowski, Ms. Phillips, and the Pewaukee team and get them signed up for summer camp, summer 2021. We are really, really looking forward to it this year. We have this Saturday, underbelt graduation and master's team star test, Saturday, April 24th. That's this Saturday. That's going to be at our Brookfield location, our Pewaukee location, and our virtual worldwide students are going to be able to graduate virtually as well. So if you have any questions about that, make sure you talk to your team at Brookfield, at Pewaukee, or virtually worldwide. Talk to Ms. DeWade and Mr. Pieper, and they will get you all the details on times and everything else that you need to make sure that you and your family have an incredible, inspiring graduation experience. Really looking forward to it. Our spring merchandise, Mr. Hanson just unveiled our third crazy wild tie-dye t-shirt this summer. The team is really excited. Like I said a couple episodes ago, our team this year voted on what our t-shirts were going to look like for summer 2021. So we got rainbow tie-dye, we got blue tie-dye, and we got kind of like a pink neon tie-dye. So we got 3 tie-dyes for you to choose from this year. Our t-shirt days are going to be starting as soon as summer starts and that weather gets warm. All of our students, whether they are at an in-person location or at our worldwide virtual location, will be able to wear their t-shirts, karate pants, and belts for the duration of the summer for their karate classes, which is very, very exciting. I know there's been a lot of excitement around this, guys. Our birthday parties, pizza parties for in-person have started back up again. We are now getting booked up for pizza parties, birthday parties. Hey, I'm sick of being inside parties. I want my kid to run around and be in a great environment and burn off energy party, whatever it might be. So if you haven't already, at either Brookfield, Pewaukee, or Worldwide with Mr. Pieper, make sure that you talk to them about what Saturday you are looking at having your child's party and get them booked. Our birthday parties and pizza parties are famous for being awesome. Everybody loves them, no drama. I've never talked to anybody that doesn't love them. Some of our adult students even want to have their birthday parties at Karate America. That's how cool they are. And Mr. Pieper actually just booked 2 birthday parties for this month virtually. So if you are not comfortable with coming in person, no problem whatsoever. We got you covered with our virtual team and doing a birthday party, pizza party, or celebration party virtually. Just make sure you follow up with Ms. DeWade, Mr. Pieper, and they'll get you signed up with that. And last but not least, our Excellence Badge program is coming out right after graduation. So starting right after the 24th graduation, we are going to have our Excellence Badge program. I know you guys have seen me hold these up before. Our first 2 #inaugural badges are Focus and Self-Discipline. These are the 2 magnet badges that your child can earn at home for having that A+ Karate America behavior at home, as well as during class. So follow up with our worldwide team and find out how you and your family can start to get your refrigerator or your magnet board loaded with these guys, because that's what everybody wants, right? Good focus, good self-discipline, values as behavior at home. Love it. Nice. All right. Once again, my team has me hopping with these announcements, guys.
I want a tie-dyed t-shirt.
You do? Okay. Do you prefer?
Yeah, it's been a few decades since I've had one of those.
All right. I see you in a rainbow one, Mr. Mick. I think you're like a rainbow tie-dye guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'll go there.
We'll make sure you get one.
Well,
we'll get one for the whole Mick household. How about that? Send it out to the folder.
There you go.
you guys will be set up for the summer.
Yeah,
So
that and a birthday party.
there you go. You can have a virtual birthday party coming up. Yeah. Do it in your Karate America tie-dye t-shirt.
Right.
Totally.
I love it. Stacking.
100%.
There you go.
Okay.
So obviously there's been a lot of hype about our episode tonight, a lot of excitement. I know our team, a lot of our parents are really, really excited to have you here with us. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to ask actually Mr. Quirk, because you were the person who brought Mr. Mick to Karate America, to our community. Mr. Mick is a world-renowned coach, consultant, teacher, mentor. He's worked with Fortune 500 companies. He's worked with companies all over the world to really instill purpose, values, uncover their purpose and values, and implement his conscious communication tools into teams and organizations to really have transformational change and performance. So we were really honored and excited to start working with Mr. Mick close to 10 years ago now. We were actually just talking about this earlier. Believe it or not, it's coming up on a decade of working with Mr. Mick at little old Karate America in southeastern Wisconsin. So Mr. Quirk, please tell us how you brought this incredible resource to our team.
Definitely, I can. And actually, two sides of every story. So I'll tell my side. I'd love to hear your side too.
Right.
That would be great. So it's really interesting, the things that happen in our lives. So there's points in our lives when we see something or we feel something and we just know it's right. For me, one of the earliest things I can remember is when I first walked into Karate America, first walked into a martial arts school. There was something about it that it was right. I just needed to be there. And for me, I was the first student in our karate school at that location. I was the first black belt out because it was just right. And the same thing happened when I met you. Mr. Reed actually convinced me to go to one of the seminars that you were putting on. And he said, you got to go down. There's this thing happening in Chicago. You got to go down and check it out. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Can I take time away from the school? Because at that time, I was doing all the teaching and everything. But, through Mr. Reed's influence, we decided to do it. And I came down. I think you did a 2-day seminar at that point down there at another company.
Yes.
And I was watching the training. I was watching the way that the team at that company was interacting and the lessons. And I don't think I fully understood it at that point, but what I did know is I walked away going, this is just, it feels right. We have to have this for Karate America. There's something special here. And I don't know if you remember, but my brother and I were there. And I came up to you and I go, can we meet? I'd love to just sit down with you for 10 minutes and talk. And I gave you my spiel and tried to figure out a way to get you to come work with us.
No, I remember viscerally. we're this little town a little town in Chicagoland in the best hotel in town, which was minimal, and at breakfast. And I remember the breakfast, and I remember you and your brother, Mr. Quirk, Mark.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I remember
what stood out, if I may. I
Sure,
apologize
absolutely.
for interrupting, Mr. Quirk, cutting across you. What I remember was your passion and the clarity of your eyes, and just this. I mean, in essence, if we boil the whole conversation down, I don't know what you do. I don't know what you cost. I'm sure I don't have enough money, but I got to do this, and I promise I'll pay you. And how do we do it? And I remember being struck by that passion and clarity and going, well, you're right. You probably can't afford it, and that's okay.
And we couldn't.
And because, here's,
we could, but
let's start.
Well,
let's start.
How do you not?
Well,
right?
but here's the nuance of our work is because you showed up with the clarity of passion and your, even though you didn't have the language for it, then your sense of purpose and clarity, it was like, guess what? We'll make the money work. No worries. Don't worry about it. Let's just do the work. And we started, and here we are 10 years later, and yippee. And, and now you have the money,
right?
And you have the community.
And we keep doing more training and more training.
It's great.
Going deeper. Yeah.
Right.
So, Mr. Mick, if you wouldn't mind sharing what your experience was of our Karate America community when you came to Milwaukee to work with us and with our company and our team, what was your experience of us? I'm anxious to hear.
Yeah, because you actually did interviews and everything with all of our
Yeah.
staff and everything. You did a pretty thorough, I mean, you checked our books, you checked our
Yep.
staff, you had us send you material, everything that we did have.
Right.
It was a pretty comprehensive overview.
Well, our approach, this is actually lovely to think in a retrospective and go back 10 years. And in some respects, nothing's changed at all in terms of, and on another hand, a lot's changed, right? Or the shift, how we deliver product and culture and develop, we move a lot faster. It's a lot simpler. However, at that point, and still to this day, the first covenant is we're going to do some really intimate work. I remember you both being so passionate about what you're doing, about the impact that you wanted to create for families, for children, for community, right? And those were all things that usually I find myself bringing out in dialogue with potential clients. And we were at that point potential clients, right? So part of the process, and this is something that I love about Karate America to this day, and you, Mr. Quirk and Mrs. Quirk, and everybody on the whole team at Karate America, there's an interview process of the family as much as there is the family interviewing Karate America. We're working with this most covenant, cherished being in our lives, our children, right? And what I remember is you were so clear about how good you were doing already, and simultaneously what more you wanted to do. And there was this intuitive sense, paraphrasing a little bit of what you said a minute ago, Mr. Quirk, about what we could do if we took culture of Karate America further. So that said, without me rambling, we're going to interview as a consultant, as a facilitator of cultural change, business change. We're going to interview you as much as you interview us. It's because of that intimacy and the depth of the work. And so, yeah, you're right. And everybody listening, we looked at financial tools. We looked at training tools. We look at everything without judgment. Simply, what have you got? How is it serving you? If you don't have something, there's no guilt, there's no shame, there's no problem. It's simply, wow, here's an opportunity. There's a tool missing, or here's a tool you're doing really, really well. And we build on, right? And evolve the culture at speed. And long story short, you had so much in place in terms of heart, process, intentionality, and actual program development for your members, that whatever you were missing financially or in membership marketing or the way you coached the team, not the members, but the team, those are pieces that we could backfill with intention, purpose, values, conscious communication, and just shoot the brand even further, right?
Yeah.
And that, as I recall, that was our journey.
Yeah.
And both of you, the Quirk family, resolutely both walked your talk. And every day we built trust with each other. And here we are a decade later, and look at the delivery mechanism you're providing your community of members, and frankly, the bigger community.
Yeah. It's been quite a journey, and we're looking forward to the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are just tuning in, we are live with Mr. Rudy Mick. Mr. Mick is in Boulder, Colorado. We are in southeastern Wisconsin. Wherever you are tuning in for the live stream, I invite you to put up a question or an insight or a wonder that you have for Mr. Mick. If you are one of our families who has experienced maybe one of his seminars, maybe you have a student who has come home from after school and talked about using one of our values, whoever you are in the Karate America community, whether you're a student, a team member, a family member, whether you know it or not, I bet you've probably experienced some of Mr. Mick's work through Karate America. So we're talking about our purpose. We inspire people to believe in themselves and the process of how we as a team uncovered that and did that work. Our values, the values as behaviors and as choices, not just things that hang on a wall. And conscious communication, choosing to wake up and use specific communication tools as a team in our daily interaction, not just talk about being nice. And if I have something to say, I just say it, but actually using science-based communication tools. So I want to get to that point now, Mr. Mick, if you would give us an overall nutshell version of what is, when we talk about conscious communication, what is that? How does that work in a team or in an organization? For those of us who might not know.
Everything you just stated about purpose, values, a sense of why the company is in business or a community is there, in building a brand. Communication, effective communication, is the primary how of getting stuff done, right? Whether I'm teaching or training or delegating or communicating new goals, communication is the primary tool. It's the center, the hub of the wheel, if you will, from a very pragmatic place. And in very oftentimes, the way we choose to communicate with each other actually just embodies and emboldens drama instead of clarity. So part of my education along the way, looking at organizations, even more so looking at people in organizations, my big question was, how do we make contact? How do I actually not just share an intellectual idea? How do we actually tap the heart of our members, of our clients, of our families, of our coworkers? And can that contact actually can we celebrate it as opposed to be embarrassed by that connection? And frankly, over the last 10 years, my commitment to those elements of communication that support working on purpose, guided by values to achieve a vision, the communication becomes more and more and more important for contact, drama-free work, where or just life, where we can actually share the intention of being a good partner, of being a good team member, of being a good dad or a good mom or a good teacher. Most of us do not walk around our lives wanting to suck, right? Mm-hmm. And so, oh my gosh, here are 8 tenets. Here's some tools about being choiceful in communication that will keep us present, keep us out of drama, keep us connected, and celebrate an intention of love and care. Oh my goodness, even if we're building a business or growing a community through training.
Yeah. What you're saying really resonates with me, and it resonates even deeper because, and I'd like to get to this if we could. I want to bring up a couple comments because people have some comments and some questions for you.
Great.
But what I feel as though has been such a difference for us at Karate America and our community, and I'd like to hear you speak on this, Mr. Quirk, and you, Mr. Mick. A lot of people learn about these conscious communication tools, and they're great and they make sense and they sound awesome. However, actually showing up every day to do the work of putting them into play, and actually holding ourselves and each other accountable and really choosing to do and behave those tools is another thing. And, you know, I've been with you at some seminars, and I've just shared some experiences with people over the years of listening to you and attending some of your webinars and things like that. And I'm struck by all, like 100% of people I think are like, this is the greatest thing ever. Rudy makes a genius. I'm going to do this. And then check in with them a few months later and they're like, yeah, those are good things to think about, good tips every once in a while. And I feel like with our company, and I think a lot of this speaks to the person that Mr. Quirk is, it was all in from like day one. We dove in and we just absorbed and tried to absorb and embody conscious communication, purpose, and values from day one. Even when we were stumbling and it was ugly and gooey, I will say for our team, we really did that work. And so I'd love to hear both of your takes on that, because I think it's one thing to love these tools and love the concept of it, because it all sounds great. Doing it in real time is hard work, and breaking habits that we've had sometimes as adults for decades in communication. So can either one of you speak to that?
Yeah, so I can.
Let me rephrase. I bet both of you can speak to that. Please do.
You know what strikes me? I love what you're talking about with the idea of communication with teams, and how communication even extends to fiscal and just messaging and training, and just how important communication is as a foundation. And then I think to myself, how do we actually learn to communicate? Well, most of us learn how to communicate from our parents. And you told us this, right? Or I've talked about this before. And where did they learn? They learned from their parents, and they learned from their parents. Right. And, you know, from a pragmatic standpoint, we also learned from the playground when we were kids. It's like, what works, what doesn't. Right. And in many cases, we're actually taught not to say what we really mean. We're really, in many cases, taught to talk around what we really mean. And then how does that carry with us through the rest of our lives? And for me, I think it was easier to grasp the tools because of martial arts. So martial arts is, don't do it this way, do it this way. This is the most efficient way, effective way to move your body to get the best results. And the thing I love about your tools is, in many ways, it's the same thing as a journey towards black belt. These are pragmatic tools that we could use as long as we just followed the tools. It became a shared language, and it actually, for me, overwrote old habits that, you know, I spent a lifetime creating. And then the power for me with the team is, now we actually, what if everybody on the team actually had a shared language? If we actually had shared rules and ways to communicate, there's a freedom there that we don't have to worry about. What if they didn't, understand what I said, or what if now they're mad at me, or what if they don't like me? It takes all that off the table, and it allows us to communicate authentically as a team.
And efficiently too. There's an efficiency and a streamlining there that I think people don't quite get at first. But once we get efficient at the tools and practice, there's an efficiency and a streamlining that's like, it's so nice. And I'm not really awake to it until I talk to other teams and other people that don't have those tools. And then I'm like, oh yeah, this is how like the rest of the world communicates. It's draining, and there's drama.
Right.
Well, Mr. Mick, love to hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Quirk hit the bullseye. Of all the things you said, there's only one thing I would tighten a little bit, which I'll be happy to do in a moment. So yes to everything Mr. Quirk said. One of the reasons I love working in martial arts, in the martial arts industry, is because of that experiential life force of working towards a black belt. And even when I get the black belt, or when one achieves a black belt, what I keep hearing repeatedly is, now you have your black belt. Now you're really ready to learn. Right. So much, especially in the Western hemisphere of our globe, even more so in the US, I think, I'd make the case that we have this picture of, black belt becomes expert, right? No, what I become is an expert learner. And then there's first dan, second dan, third dan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And So this commitment to lifelong learning, and Mr. Quirk, what I'm savoring as we talk about 10 years together, of which, I mean, we've evolved, right? If we've evolved from client and consultant to friends and colleagues, and right, we're not really consulting anymore. It's a friendship of evolution of this kind of life. The process is about, also similar to martial arts, about discipline. It's about choice. It's about, so my choice is, can I build a purposeful company of the same way I would love to build a purposeful family, my whatever support looks like to my partner, to my whatever the makeup is, our family, whether it's birth family, blended family, whatever. Each of us wants the best for our kids possible. How does that evolution occur? That's first. Yes to everything you said. The one piece, actually, then a second piece is this, like black belt performance or martial arts. This is not, the journey you're alluding to, or is not about being perfect. It is about being my best every day. And one of the shifts that is really tough, breaking old habits and building new habits, is, oh, well, stop doing this, it's not effective. Well, we can say that all day long, right? I should stop eating donuts, but man, I sure love them, right? Well, I better have a big motivation to stop eating a donut.
Yeah.
And what's going to replace the donut, right? Do I learn to run, or do I learn to go on a mat? Do I learn to bow in? The joy of that cultural shift. So part of this work is, well, what's the alternative if I'm living in drama and swirling around and name calling and shoulds and oughts and all that stuff? How do we begin to shift? And that was a journey the three of us took, right? With your team and then with your community. It was lovely. The only caveat that I would shift was, Mr. Quirk, you mentioned, oh, there's a consistent language, right? And I would like to think, rather than consistent language, we have a consistent toolbox, a consistent set of tools. So I can say whatever I want, but whenever I speak, I'm going to speak from I. I'm going to make an I statement, either an individual I, as I just am doing right now, or a collective I. Oh, the Quirks and Rudy, Mr. Mick, are moving towards building a conscious culture. So that collective I or individual I is a guidepost. Any one of the three of us, or anyone in your whole Karate America community, may have their own nuance of I. Whatever their story is, each of us is going to speak that in our unique way. What is consistent is we come from I, not from ego, but from contact, from accountability, about accountability for my discipline, accountability for my choice, accountability for my care, right? And suddenly, and so instead of sounding like robots, all speaking the same speak, we do have consistent tools that guide us to be accountable, right?
Yeah.
Another example of a fast tool, without dominating the conversation here. One of our tool sets, as the Quirks know very well, is we name the elephant in the room. We call it a moose. We name the elephant in the room as fast as possible. If I feel like there's an elephant, I'm going to name it. And guess what? We go, yay, thank you for naming that elephant. we call it a moose in the room, because it makes me smile and we can laugh at it, right? And by naming the moose, and nothing's unspeakable as long as we do it with care within our values and purpose. Wow, there's this, now suddenly young children are taught to step into the possibility of, well, why this? Or what about that? And moms and dads get the opportunity to talk with their kids in that same way, right? And frankly, we do the same thing in any business, in any industry. So fun.
Yeah,
Anyway.
the tools are the same. And speaking of moms and dads, we do have some Facebook users here giving us some great comments I wanted to get to.
Great.
So Mrs. Jury, it's great to have you on the stream tonight. She says, I got a dose of how important word choices for impact during a shared moment of reflection in candidate class. I stated karate was the only thing I had never quit. There was a huge gasp as a child called me out and said, "You quit school?" The moment was another learning experience for me. Conscious communication is an ongoing lesson. So there's a great moment to share about intention, impact, being awake to our word choices. Do I really understand the words I'm about to share? I love that. Mrs. Deacon, great to have you on the stream tonight, ma'am. Mrs. Deacon shares, there's not enough time to say how much Mr. Mick's communication tools have changed my life. Our family wouldn't be the same without them. And I'm sure that sentiment is shared by many of our Karate America families. These tools have really been a game changer, not just for businesses and organizations, but also just for individuals and families. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later, about how these actually show up with kids and families, as well as with adults and teams. We have Facebook user. I'm sorry, it looks like we don't see who you are, but Facebook user asks, what's the best way to remain grounded in living with purpose and values in all aspects of our lives, avoiding the pulls from other things in life that could sidetrack us?
What a great question.
Great question, Facebook user, whoever you are.
Mrs. Palucky.
It's who?
Mrs. Palucky.
Oh, okay, cool.
I just looked down at my phone, so that's great.
Awesome.
I think that's right.
Hi, Mrs. Palucky. It's a great question.
Great question.
So if we use Karate America and everything we've talked about so far, so the Quirks and I have worked together for 10 years. Some of you on this program have been with the Quirks that long. Some of you are shorter time. If I've got a habit that has been with me for 30 years and I suddenly learn a new tool that I like better, name the unspoken. The emperor has no clothes. Name the elephant in the room. We call the moose. That new habit is well and good. However, there's always the potential that the old habit, 30-year habit versus 3-month habit, we call that culture suck. The old culture or the outside culture will suck us back, right? The American culture is bigger than the Karate America culture. So the US culture or habits may have more pull, right? So one of the way, and name that experience any way you'd like on anything that you've got in your life for decades. Here's the option, and the Quirks have alluded to this a couple times on the call already tonight, is the concept is this: what is my purpose? What are my values? What do I know about conscious communication to pull me forward towards an outcome that exhibits, models care instead of anguish? Care and heart and connection instead of pain or hurt, right? So one of the tools that we use a lot is the concept, the shorthand is IVS. IVS, short for what's the issue? How do the values, purpose, conscious communication, which of the values, how does our purpose, which of the communication tools, which of our financial tools would support the issue to get us to solution. So issue, value, solution. Issue, value, solution. And what Mr. Quirk has put in place, I know for a fact already, in a lot of the classes, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like, okay, what's the issue, little 6-year-old, you're having? What are the values of Karate America or in your family that you would use to solve this? And suddenly 6-year-olds, let alone 26-year-olds or 36-year-olds, are beginning to act like board members. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, can you speak to that, Mr. Quirk? Because I know some of the most profound stories that we have to share are how conscious communication and values and purpose have been, how we hear it come back through our own young students at Karate America. I mean, it's truly amazing, some of the things that we've heard over the years.
Yeah,
I can. Yeah, I definitely, I share one. Actually, I have one I can share from earlier, but I do want to add, there's something you said earlier, Rudy, that I think is really applies here. And it's that concept of every habit we have, we get something out of. It is effective somehow, right? So even our bad habits, we do get something out of them. They are effective in some way. Otherwise, we would let them go. We wouldn't need them anymore. We would switch them to a new habit.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
We're going through life wanting a hug. We're going through life wanting connection, wanting something. And we've built these habits to think we're getting what we want.
Yeah. I mean, to use the donut example, we are getting something in the moment. We're getting that rush. We're getting that sugar. We're there. So for me, the really, to stay grounded has been to realize that it is a choice. Everything I do, every action I take, every habit I have, I am getting something out of. The real question I have to ask myself is this habit or this action in alignment with my values? And ultimately, is it going to help me live my purpose? And if it's not, that's been a really strong way for me to say, okay, it's time to shift. Yeah. So this may be effective in one way, but how is it not effective at purpose and values?
Well, the donut example, since you went there, Mr. Quirk, is a really great one, right? Because the endorphins, dopamine hit, I've got a crummy day. The habit is grab a donut and or name the quick service brand food.
Right.
I take that initial hit and the sugar rush, the endorphin dopamine hit for just a millisecond makes me feel better, right? The other big industry I work in is food service, restaurant development. And believe me, that eating, right, and eating disorders and weight and all those issues are so big in the US. For that millisecond, the hit of the sugar or the chemicals in the food, I feel good with the dopamine endorphin hit. And then the irony, the sad irony, is then I go through yet another cycle of guilt, of shame, of, oh my God, I just gained another pound. And it is outweighed by that millisecond of feel good in the bite. So what if we train and give ourselves tools that say, here's an alternative to the donut, right? Here's an alternative to the burger or whatever it is, right? But that's actually what you're delivering at Karate America is these life skills of health, life skills of wellness, and all of us, and through martial arts, and all of a sudden, we're also providing communication tools that can name, oh my gosh, what I really want is a donut. Let's do some more kicks, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think too, Rudy, it's like I think that the donut or pizza or whatever it is something easy for people to be like, oh yeah, I do that. That's me. I get it.
Right.
What the real waking up is and the real work is that those like you were talking about, Mr. Quirk, the behaviors, the communication style, the choices that we make. Forget about like actual objects and things around us, like food and beverage and whatever else.
Right.
But the choice to be sarcastic. Maybe a tendency to not say what I really mean. And then after the meeting, go behind somebody's back and actually say, oh, this is what I really felt in the meeting, that behavior. So these behaviors that have kept us safe, they've kept us safe, and they've made us successful in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Over the years, we've learned that these behaviors and these communication styles work for us.
Yeah.
They keep away the pain, they keep away whatever it is, and they make us safe and successful.
Well,
so it's not only about the donut or the beer or whatever, but it's like I start to get my hit, and I start to get, as you said, my hug from these ineffective communication and behavior patterns. And that's when things get really messy as an adult. And I start to look around and wonder why things aren't working out for me when I'm doing these. My brain still does these communication things that I did when I was 12, but now I'm 42 and I want to make the shift and I don't know what to do. That's where I think these communication tools can be really pragmatic and really effective. Big game changers.
100%. And so if we get off to your point, we shift from food or drink or the other addictions that all of us are surrounded with. What we're now talking about is attitude and action, right? Behaviors. How does a bully show up? How does a victim show up? How does this person that constantly is rescuing just to be seen and falls into victim themselves, right? And instead, with conscious communication, we end up playing on an even playing field, sharing data, sharing the clarity, and getting rid of shoulds and oughts, and asking a really beautiful life question: is what I'm doing adding value? Is what I'm doing effective? And if it's not, change. Here's how to change. It's not just telling change.
Right.
It's actually, here's what you can change into, evolve into.
Without guilt or shame.
Exactly. And like a black belt, with practice, with conscious focus, here's the opportunity. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh, my family's healthier, my business is healthier, my team's healthier, and yippee, I have a smile on my face.
I think that's a really great.
I'd like to just finish one last point
too. Go for it.
We all have so much to say. I love it. So with that concept of staying grounded, it's really difficult to stay grounded if we don't know who we are. So by defining our purpose, by defining our values, I really think it does give us those guide rails on choosing more effective behaviors in the moment. And, we often talk about martial arts and how that's been a piece of our lives. And, for me, I talk to the team a lot. Anytime there is a decision that has to be made, I would always use martial arts. I would always use black belt as my true north. It was my North Star. I could always ask myself, what would a black belt do in this situation?
Nice.
And then I would make a decision on that. But even that was just a little wobbly. And once we defined values, once we defined purpose, it tightened up even more. So now the decision or the conversation becomes which behavior supports the values and which values support the behavior on the journey towards purpose.
Yeah.
So
one, right before we went on the air, I was reading a new study that I'd never seen before. The sample size is fairly small. It's 1,000 respondents. However, with 1,000 respondents, this is very interesting. The focus was what causes stress in one's life. Stress, right? In the year of COVID and pandemic and everything else, which I'm not going to name. So out of this, this was so intriguing to me. So what are the major causes of stress? 36%, a lack of purpose. So by defining purpose, by creating, so I'm realizing, and you two have helped me so much understand, my life has been about creating inspired workplaces. How do we have people, most of us want to be inspired. It's way more effective to be inspired than bored or worse. So lack of purpose, right? So, okay, purpose is the foundation. Lack of structure, 34%. So here we have conscious communication. How do we speak so we stay present? How do we speak without shoulds and oughts? How do we name the elephant in the room or the gorilla, 800-pound gorilla? How do we name the moose fast?
Yeah.
Right? Structure, and give you tools for that structure. Immediacy, 11%. How do I get feedback? So the lack of feedback, and in our community and in Karate America, you're giving feedback in the moment, always to the positive. Here's what I saw really well to take your performance further. Crack me up. And then flexibility, 19%. So within, instead of shoulds and oughts and policies, here's the purpose, here are the values, here's the vision, here's conscious communication. And within that structure, for Johnny, the guidepost issue, value, solution might be one thing. For Sally, it might be something different, still within the values, still within the purpose. So flexibility, instead of one size fits all, each of us evolves through the guidance of our instructors, of our community. It just cracks me up of like, oh my gosh, this structure of purpose, values, conscious communication.
We could stress.
Yeah, get rid of stress, and that's 100%, baby.
So we are, for those of you just joining us, we are live with Rudy Mick. You can post a comment, a question, an insight. If you're a Karate America team member, if you're a family member, a student, somebody in the community who has just experienced Mr. Mick's work, maybe you work at Karate America, maybe you've been to one of his webinars or seminars, maybe you know someone who has come home and started to talk to you about purpose and values and conscious communication, and these wonderful Mick tools and the Mick method. If you have anything to say, a wonder, a question, an insight, we would love to hear it. So please leave some comments. Now is your chance. But I think that when you said, what really struck me is I think that people as adults, it's like, we know that we're not communicating effectively or that something is off. And we kind of go to, and you taught us this, and you helped me see this when we first started to work, with us. We basically go to sleep and we numb out, and we believe that this is just life. This is just how it is.
Yeah.
So the best that I can do is use these cobbled together tools, communication tools, conflict resolution tools, that I hopefully have from like parents and coach, mentors, church, whatever I've gleaned over the years, and just show up every day and hope for the best. And I think what's really empowering about the MIC tools, the MIC systems tools that we are using and that we train with at Karate America is that most of the time as adults, we're told like, so we all know that that's wrong and doesn't work. So get out there and do better. And I'm going to do better. Right. And that can be really discouraging. I mean, we don't do that with weight loss. We don't do that with martial arts. We don't do that with learning to ski. We actually go out and we get structured discipline programs and instruction to help us gain these tools and this knowledge so that we can perform better. But with communication and conflict resolution, things like that, we tend to kind of wing it, because we actually believe that that's the only way to do it, is just keep banging our head against the wall and trying things that don't work. And I think what's so powerful about the MIC tools and conscious communication is that it's like, no, do this. If you don't have to reinvent the wheel, here is this pragmatic, very elegant tool set. Right. And we can start doing this on day one and actually see and feel results. Absolutely. And I think that's what's so powerful about it. It's not just like try again tomorrow. Yeah. It's do this.
Yeah.
And the other piece that I'll say to that is it's a practice, just like martial arts, just like sports, just like anything. This isn't something that I take like 45-minute, like I watch a live stream and now I'm like, all right, I'm good to go. I mean, I really invite anybody who hasn't stepped into this work and this practice. It is life changing. It's business changing. If it were up to me, everybody on planet Earth basically would have these tools and would be functioning in this system, because it's just so much more, it's a more effective way to communicate with our fellow humans. I know at our company, it's been really transforming. So I can't say enough.
Sign up.
Right. Right, right. But I know, Mr. Park, you were going to share with us something about how does this work with kids? I mean, we've seen some amazing things with our students at Karate America over the years.
Yeah, there's a lot of examples. It's interesting because I was at Brookfield today, and you're going to love this, Rudy. But as I was walking out, I was walking back to the after school room, and Mr. Neisky, no, I'm sorry, I think it was Mr. Bray actually. I was walking through pretty fast, but one of the instructors was actually sitting with the kids surrounding them, and they were talking about moose in the room.
Right.
And they were giving examples, real life examples, not made up, but real life examples of what a moose in the room is, and how is something that's pulling our attention away from being present, how's that ineffective?
Yeah.
So they were actually talking about attention being pulled when it needs to be focused elsewhere. It was a really cool lesson in the moment.
Yeah.
But also we have countless number of stories where we have kids holding each other accountable for their actions and attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards, even though there's tears, even though, the child is upset, afterwards, after they calm down, they come back and they say, thank you for holding me accountable for my actions and my attitude, which is
Right.
values in the moment, tools in the moment. But here's the best part. I think the kids were 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, one of the things that we know for a fact, data, is that giving a child boundaries actually creates freedom, right? There's a paradox. And by giving what actually Karate America taught me, I've been working in the world of work for decades, right? We're 43 years into our work now. And I knew it was clear to us that 15 and 16-year-old kids that are able to legally work in business, often work in restaurants, we knew that the tools worked for 15 and 16-year-olds. But in the world of martial arts, what you brought to the table at Karate America was, even though a kid 5, 6, 4, 7 isn't, quote, cognitively developed yet, right, age 9, 10, they're tracking, they're uploading, they're just amazing computers uploading everything emotionally, passionately, intellectually. And you proved that, and since Karate America, other schools as well, but especially Karate America, these kids are uploading and learning cultural behavior, effective, connected, caring tools instead of shoulds and oughts that are going to guide them. And they have a 30-year head start on being emotionally intelligent.
Imagine. Oh,
man, this is really important.
Yeah.
About being emotionally intelligent, about being awake, about being aware of, oh my God, I just slipped into drama. I'm not present. I can get present, right? In a way that supports whatever the family's cultural process is with their faith, with their politics, with whatever. The child is actually learning with a 30-year head start on stuff we don't learn until we're in grad school, if then, right? So it's like, whoa. Man.
Yeah.
It's lovely. It's so amazing.
We have another, Mrs. Jury is sharing something else. She said, my husband stopped using the phrase, tell me I'm wrong, thanks to Mr. Mick. Much less drama in our house.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, I think I've used that term too. Go ahead. Tell me again I'm wrong. Right? Yeah, it's like, no. Poor me. Bravo.
Yeah, I think that one of the most powerful things that, when we talk about the tools and working with Mick and, the impact that it's had on our team too is, and this has been huge, is just the work around accountability and naming a moose and accountability out of love, not out of fear. I think, and we've talked in some of our work previously that many of us as adults, we learn from whatever sources, family or school or whatever, that accountability is about blame and shame. And so we don't have these difficult conversations with each other. We don't hold each other or ourselves accountable because it's got such a negative, dark connotation to it. and really doing the MIC work and working with safe space tools, conscious communication, living and being our purpose, values, not just talking about or believing in it, but actually behaving our purpose and our values. I think the ability to have these very deep and sometimes very difficult and sticky conversations around accountability with our team and a company and organization, that's been huge for us.
Yeah.
That's been a huge shift. I don't know what you think about that, Mr. Quirk, but for me, that's one that really stands out for our company and our team.
Yeah. I mean, you said it best. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of a light bulb just went off for me of in life, there again, we go back to shoulds and oughts and, oh, I failed, or, oh, tell me again how much I suck, or whatever. And I'm literally wallowing versus martial arts. I punch. Oh, that wasn't quite effective. Do it again, right? Basketball. Oh, I missed. Do it again. Take another shot. Skiing. This turn wasn't as if I'm not flowing with the skis. Do it again. Make another turn, right?
Yeah.
It's like immediate kind of go. Here's an alternative to the performance, and we're actually giving tools, whether it's finance and home budgets or work budgets or even with children, right? Or behavior or language, or here's excellence, that's not. The action to actually slow down and define what excellence is in behavioral based
huge
definitions is just, God, it's so fun.
Yeah.
And it's not immediately obvious, right?
Right.
So that's okay.
Right.
And that's where a coach comes in.
Yeah. And I think that it's, when we make course corrections in sports or wherever else, it's interesting to your point. There's very rarely guilt and shame and blame about, oh, I need your foot to be a little bit to the left, or you need to do this a little bit different. It's like, great, thanks for helping me be better. But sometimes when it's performance at work or in a personal relationship, I can feel sort of that blame and shame well up and be attached to it. And I think that's where growth really becomes difficult, because there's just so much drama involved in performance at work. And your tools, the conscious communication tools and the mix systems, have really helped us just really streamline and minimize that and make the feedback and the accountability out of love and about behaviors and performance, and lose the blame and shame and guilt, because I know you said this, nobody needs that. Nobody needs that but me. So lose it, and let's just shift behaviors and move.
Yeah.
Out of love and purpose.
A relatively new thought just popped in my head of, if we ever go back to the water cooler, if we ever get socialized back to having a dining room or a coffee station or a water cooler, instead of the water cooler drama being the meeting after the meeting, right? Which we've all been in.
Yep.
And oh my God, can you believe how stuck that guy is, that Rudy guy? Oh, instead going to the water cooler and going, man, talk about the speed of change, right? 30 seconds to go from poor me to, okay, here's what's next. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's performance. And that's the new water cooler dialogue that each of us could have, right? Is let's talk about the energy moving us to the positive on purpose, guided by definitive values, with communication that integrates us, and even fiscal tools that guide us and keep us on track as well. Yeah. It's really cool, man. The application is just life. Anyway. Blah, blah, blah.
It is really cool. And what else is kind of cool and kind of sad is that we're at the end of our hour already, guys. So I thank you so much for being with us tonight, Rudy. It's just a real privilege to have you spend this time talking with us, members of our community. Thank you for everybody who has been on the live stream, on YouTube channel, on Facebook group. We really, really appreciate your energy, your comments, your likes. If you haven't subscribed, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. I haven't checked, but Mr. Mick wanted us to get to 130 subscribers by the end of the night tonight. So he's thrown down the gauntlet. Let's see what we can do. And I wanted to say, we do have some really exciting things coming out in some collaboration work that we've been doing with you, Rudy, with Mick and Mick Systems coming out this summer. And it's going to be online, and we're really, really excited about it. We've been working really hard. Great things take time. So this summer, hopefully, we're going to be launching with some really cool things for all of our families and people all over the world, really, that want to go deeper with MIC tools, but maybe don't want to drive out to meet you in Boulder, Colorado. They want to do it from home, from their laptop. So tune in, just keep your ears open to hear more about what's coming out in summer 2021 with that. So we are going to be.
We've also, just really quick, we've also been talking about having Rudy come back out and doing some stuff with our families again in the future. So if you are interested, you're out there listening and you're interested in having us do that, let us know. Put it in the comments.
Yep,
thumbs up
absolutely.
if you want to see us bring Rudy back out, because we've done some really effective, family and parent and just family communication seminars. So
that would be fun.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up if you'd like Mr. Mick to come out and do some more in-person seminars. We also have some webinars coming out this summer. We're going to be announcing some dates and times for that. So we just got a lot of things planned for summer 2021. We can't wait, and hope you guys can join us for that. So thank you so much again for your time. Thanks for being here with us. Next week, Mr. Quirk and I are going to be kind of doing a part 2 of Purpose and Values Conscious Communication and how it plays out in Karate America for our staff, our team. Thank you so much, Mr. Jury, for your comments. We already got a couple of Facebook thumbs up for Rudy coming out to Wisconsin. So here we go. Here's the Rudy Mick fan club in southeastern Wisconsin. Now you got to do it, Rudy. Now you got to do it. Come before the snow hits. So
in a heartbeat. All
right. Until next time, thank you everybody for your energy on the live stream tonight. If you want to feel amazing, go out and find somebody, whether you've known them for 40 years or 40 minutes, inspire them to believe in themselves. It feels incredible. At Karate America, our purpose is we inspire people to believe in themselves, and we will see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.